All right, everybody, welcome to Tuesday. I need you to get out your notebook, and then you should still have the cards on your desk. So I need you to get those cards out. While you're getting those out, I'm just going to put a friendly reminder of what each of these are. So your notebook should be flipped to the front for notes. So I'm labeling these lipid, carb, protein, and nucleic acid. My awesome handwriting here. Here's what I need you to do first. I need you to find me the protein. And I need you to build me a polymer of a protein. Okay, find the protein, build me a polymer. Ready, go. At your table. So polymer of a protein, right? We know that this guy is the protein. So we're just going to connect him with a few of his friends. And ta-da, we've got a big molecule. Remember, polymer is a big molecule, macromolecule made of repeating units. Okay? All right. Next up, here's what I need you to do. I need you to find me a monomer of a lipid. Who remembers what mono means? What number? Mono means 1. So if you're finding one lipid, you should only have 1 out on your desk. Now build me a polymer with that lipid. So a polymer is going to be a bunch of them connected together, right? For example, right here, I have a whole bunch of them connected together. Good. Find me a monomer of a nucleic acid. Find me the monomer of a nucleic acid. Back up there. So here's our nucleic acid, right? The monomer is up here. Remember, this is the one that has a P. So build me a polymer out of that. In order to build a polymer, you find the other nucleic acid, right? And you connect them together. So here would be my polymer for nucleic acid. All right, lastly, I need you to find a monomer of a carbohydrate. Okay, so monomer of a carbohydrate, you've got 1 hexagon, right? Make me a polymer. So your polymer should be a couple of these guys connected together, right? Good, so remember, mono means 1, poly means many. A macromolecule is a big molecule made up of many smaller units. Yesterday we learned about carbohydrates. We said that carbohydrates, anyone remember what letters they have? Carbohydrates have C's, H's, and O's. And they're a hexagon shape, right? Where do we find them? We find them in things like candy, bread, pasta, things that end in OS, O-S-E, like lactose or sucrose. Today we're going to learn about proteins and lipids. Okay, so here's where your notebook comes in. We are going to talk about lipids and proteins. I'm going to cover this up right now. So here's what I need you to write down. Everything on this page, you can keep going from where you left off yesterday. We wrote down carbs. Now I need you to write down lipids. Lipids store long-term energy. So carbohydrates are short energy. Remember we talked about if you give your brother Skittles, he'll be bouncing off the walls for a while. Okay, and that's because it gives him a lot of energy, but really quickly. Lipids give us energy for a long period of time. That's why if you eat something with like peanut butter or something with fat in it, like maybe bacon or pizza, cheese has fat, you're going to stay full longer because it takes longer to digest and it gives you energy for a longer period of time. So another name for lipids is fats. And a lot of people ask me, well, Ms. Frankson, fats are bad. What about if people are fat, right? We hear that word fat. Well, fats, you need fats in order to live. Your brain cells need fat. Your cells need fat. Okay, what your body is designed to do is whenever you eat too many calories, you eat too much food, your body stores it. Because think about it, in the old days, caveman days, you didn't know when you were going to get your next meal. It might be days before you hunted something and were able to catch it. So what your body does is anytime that you've got extra food that you're not going to use, right? You've eaten too much, you feel really full, your body stores it as fat, okay? And when it stores it as fat, it can actually use it later on if you are starving, right? So actually, if there was like no food, if there was a famine, right, and we had a shortage of food, the people who actually have more fat are going to survive a lot longer because they've got a lot of extra energy stored in terms of fat or in the shape of fat. So fats have the same letters as carbohydrates. They have C's, H's, and O's. So you need to write that down. Again, everything on this slide you're writing down. So CHO, so they have the same letters, but they aren't a hexagon, okay? They either make a long chain or sometimes an E shape. You can kind of see that over here. They connect to make an E. Now, does anyone remember what the monomer of a carbohydrate was? What do we call one hexagon? What's one hexagon called? That is not a hexagon. That is a pentagon. Ignore that. If we had a hexagon, what do we call one of them? Ends in ose. It's called glucose, okay? So that was for carbohydrate. But we have a different molecule here. It's made out of different things, just like how yesterday we talked about if you've got a castle made out of blocks and a castle made out of Legos, they're made out of different things and they're going to look different. So lipids are made out of different monomers, different building blocks. They're made out of what's called a fatty acid. So each one of these long, skinny guys is a fatty acid. And then examples, okay? Fats, any kind of fat, okay? Steroids, your body makes some naturally. Waxes, things like earwax, beeswax, those are fats. Butter, okay? Cell membranes, remember that's the outside of the cell? They have fats in them. This is why your body needs fats, because if you didn't have any fat, you wouldn't be able to make any cell membranes and you wouldn't be able to make cells. And oils. So basically, when you think of foods that are greasy, okay? Kind of greasy. And those are foods that generally have fats in them, okay? So we just learned about proteins, or carbohydrates, sorry. We learned about carbohydrates. Now we learned about lipids. We're going to learn about proteins, okay? And then we're going to stop. So again, carbohydrates, they are the hexagon. Lipids are the long chain. Okay, they both have CHO, C-H-O. All right, proteins. I'm going to cover this up. Write this down. Proteins form the structure for many things in cells and organisms. Your muscles, you need protein in order to make muscle, to have muscle. That's why a lot of bodybuilders will eat like a lot of meat and eggs because they want to build a lot more muscle. So they'll eat a lot of foods that are high in proteins. But they're also really important because think about all the things that we know are in a cell, like a cell wall, a nucleus, the ribosomes, chloroplasts, all those things are made out of proteins. All right, so what letters? You guys saw in the investigation on Thursday and Friday last week that proteins have an N. So they have CHO and then they have N. So that's an easy way to pick out proteins. So they have an N. Now, the building block of a protein is called an amino acid. So like this is an example of an amino acid. So if I had a whole bunch of amino acids together and I put them all together, I could make a protein, right? So building blocks, these are my building blocks. When I put a bunch of them together, I can make a big molecule that's a protein. All right, an important thing to know, it's the job of all cells to make proteins. That's their job. Our next unit is going to be on cells, and the whole job of every single cell in your body, whether it's a blood cell or a brain cell or a muscle cell, the job is to make proteins. They're like little protein factories. And in order to work, they got to make proteins. So proteins are being made all the time in your cells. And then foods that are high in protein. So a lot of times they say meat. You can see some foods up here. Bread isn't really, so I'm not sure why they put that on there, so ignore that. But your hair is made of protein. Your nails are made of protein. All of your cells have protein in them. And then you can find it in meat. Meat has a lot of protein. You can see some other foods here like cheese, eggs, beans, nuts, seeds, hummus, okay? So how do we tell the difference between proteins and the other ones? Well, they have an N, okay? So carbohydrates are the hexagon, lipids are the long chain, proteins have an N, okay? All right, today you're going to be finishing, or you're going to be working on, not finishing, you're going to be working on the second page of a worksheet, okay? It's similar to the one that you did yesterday, but it's on proteins and lipids today. So what I need you to do, read the instructions, follow the instructions, okay? You need to do both sides. Again, expectation is you're sitting in your seat, you do not have your phone out, you're not wandering around the classroom, and you're doing your work, okay? When you are done, it needs to go in my basket, okay? I will see you all tomorrow. I will be back at school tomorrow.